Missing one piece this big, man. Come on. Yeah. 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 Brought the help, baby.
Yeah, man. Let's see. What side do you put out?
Huh?
What side do you put out?
You put rough end out so you can see all the 16-inch centers.
Okay.
Right?
Oh,
technically we could go upwards, but then it doesn't give you as much lateral support.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to chalk it.
Alright, I got it. Make sure that end is good. I don't want to shift it one way.
Oh, I better put nails in this thing, eh? You don't know what you sign up for when you come help me. Well, I mean, we're right on it. Should we be right on it here? I guess, eh?
I would think.
Okay. Mush! More! Power!
After me and my buddy Max sheathed that wall, it just made all the difference because I knew I was going to have to sheath the roof now, and that sheathing on that one wall it stiffened up the entire structure. It's kind of hard to believe, but because there was no sheathing on it, all those studs were on the same axis, and so they could just kind of sway back and forth with one another. And then that sheathing obviously stiffens everything up, and that just made it a lot easier to get on top of the roof and then do what I had to do. So to sheathe this roof, obviously I have 4 inches of insulation, which really doesn't provide any anchor points for the sheathing itself. So what I would do is I would lay down some sheathing. I started on the top right corner just to make sure I was square and, all good in that department. I would then nail the outside edges to that strapping that I'd put on previously. I would then come with my screw gun. I would make sure I would be screwing through the sheathing with a 5.5 inch GRK fastener, and that would go through the sheathing, through the insulation, and then into the rafters below. And the way I was able to find the centers, or roughly where the rafters were, since there was a ton of product and you're kind of guessing, but I basically grabbed a rope and I started the rope right at the top of where the rafter was, and I dragged it all the way down to the bottom where it ended, and that would show me more or less where the rafter was.
This is my straight line where my joist goes. It's just a weighted rope. Got it attached to the rafter on the other side, and that way it more or less runs along the line of my rafter. So now I can put my huge 5.5 inch screws right through the OSB.
Now, if you're thinking that this idea is kind of dumb, well, you're probably right, but it actually worked. I only missed twice, missing my rafter, that is going through all the insulation, through the moisture barrier, and through the sheathing on the inside of the cabin. I went through all of that and hit every single rafter 100 times and only missed twice. So my little rope routine actually worked exceptionally well, and I would probably do it again. But yeah, I mean, obviously not ideal, and this is a very unique way of doing things. I've seen a couple guys on YouTube do this before, and I thought, you know what, this seems like a pretty reasonable idea, especially for a small roof. And, as long as the OSB was anchored correctly to those rafters, when the metal roof was to go on top of my sheathing, I could be pretty comfortable and confident that it wouldn't be going anywhere, because I knew all my fasteners went right through everything to my rafters. And the 2 fasteners that missed, I just simply took them out and shimmied them over a little bit and put them back in so they would be right in the middle of the rafter. After I was done sheathing my roof, I let some of my sheathing run wild off the edge, and all I had to do was just cut it with my circular saw. Obviously, you could measure these bad boys before you bring them up to your roof and cut them down off the roof, but this was pretty easy and, worked for me.
Okay, roof is this close to be able to put metal on it. I decided to go with I don't know what it is. It's like an asphalt roll that will adhere to my sheathing, my OSB on the roof. Not only is it kind of like the premium way to put an underlayment for roofing with this rubber membrane, or this, this asphalt self-sticking membrane. When the screws go through the metal roof, it'll even have more of a seal when it goes into that sheathing, because the rubber will just kind of soak up around the thread of that screw, just creating a better overall stick. What I'm trying to say is I spent a little extra money to get a much better underlayment for the metal roof. So I'm gonna go put that on right now.
So believe it or not, this is actually my second attempt putting on a water and ice shield. The first stuff I used was felt paper, and it was awful. It was brittle, and it was the cheapest stuff I could find, essentially. And I had some left over from something else I did. So I went ahead, and when I ordered my metal roof through the same roofing company, I purchased this self-adhesive rubber membrane. And if you're wondering if it sticks to OSB, well, it sticks, but not incredibly well off the bat. I had to dust off and sweep off the OSB to get rid of any kind of particulate that was stopping that membrane from sticking. But as soon as I got that cleaned up, it actually stuck pretty well. Being alone on the roof obviously was kind of tough. because it is a roll and you are on an angle and the roll just kind of wants to go towards the bottom of the roof. So what I would do is I would tack the end that I would start on just to make sure it was kind of straight. I would drag it all the way out tight, and then I would staple the top and then overlap the next piece over top of those staples, so there's no perforation that water could get in. Everything's overlapped, which is good. It's what you want. It'll be more waterproof that way. I ended up just a little bit shy of product, but I had some other ice and water shield I just put on later.
Missing one piece this big, man. Come on. Yeah. 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 Yeah.